David Muir just exposed a critical detail that everyone else missed during the debate, and it's causing quite a stir. Known for his sharp journalism and keen eye for the truth, Muir's latest revelation has shed new light on a key moment that went unnoticed by many. His insight is sparking widespread discussion, as people are now questioning what really happened during the debate. Muir's findings could change the narrative entirely, and the fallout from this exposure is bound to make waves.
ABC is a disgrace. I think having Donna Brazil sitting on that panel, and she's the one that gave the answers and the questions to Hillary Clinton before a debate. I think ABC should be shut out.
The hypothetical debate between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump would undoubtedly be a high-stakes and highly anticipated political event. Both figures are known for their strong personalities, sharp rhetoric, and ability to captivate audiences, making this matchup a potential flashpoint in the political landscape. Such a debate would be marked by stark contrasts in policy, leadership style, and vision for the future of the country. From the outset, the tension between the two would be palpable. Kamala Harris, as the vice president and former senator from California, brings a reputation for being a skilled prosecutor, someone who is well-versed in debate tactics and can easily dissect arguments with precision. Her calm demeanor, combined with her sharp questioning style, would be on full display as she addresses Trump's policies, character, and record during his presidency. Donald Trump, the former president and a master of commanding the stage, would come into the debate with his signature style: bold, direct, and often unpredictable. Trump has always thrived in environments where he can energize his base by delivering fiery lines and pushing back aggressively against his opponents. His approach is often less about specifics and more about creating memorable moments, appealing to emotions and framing the debate in terms of his vision of strength and leadership. The opening moments of the debate would likely see each candidate laying out their vision for America. Harris would emphasize the successes of the Biden administration, particularly focusing on issues such as pandemic recovery, infrastructure investment, and the administration's efforts to restore global alliances. She would stress the importance of steady leadership, unity, and policies aimed at lifting up working families with a particular focus on healthcare, education, and climate change. Trump, on the other hand, would likely frame the debate around the idea of America first. He would critique the Biden administration for what he views as failures in economic policy, energy independence, and foreign affairs. Trump would argue that his presidency saw the strongest economy in recent memory before the COVID-19 pandemic, and would highlight his administration's efforts to deregulate industries, reduce taxes, and confront China. He would likely contrast his leadership style as strong and decisive compared to what he would frame as a weak and ineffective administration under Biden and Harris. One of the central flashpoints of the debate would almost certainly revolve around the economy. Harris would likely point to the Biden administration's efforts to pass major legislation aimed at revitalizing the economy after the pandemic, including relief packages and infrastructure spending that she claims have created jobs and rebuilt critical sectors. She would also likely focus on her work to promote equity in economic recovery, emphasizing how the administration has sought to help communities that have historically been left behind. Trump would respond by arguing that the economy under his administration was booming before the pandemic, and that his policies led to record low unemployment rates, particularly for minorities. He would claim that the Biden administration's policies are leading to inflation, higher taxes, and an economic slowdown. Trump would likely emphasize his belief in reducing government regulations and taxes as a way to stimulate economic growth, contrasting this with what he would describe as the Democrats' reliance on big government solutions. Another key point of contention would be healthcare. Harris would push for the administration's achievements in expanding healthcare access through the Affordable Care Act and its ongoing efforts to reduce prescription drug costs. She would frame the debate around the need for healthcare as a human right, likely promoting policies aimed at expanding coverage and reducing healthcare disparities, particularly for marginalized communities. Trump, however, would argue against government overreach in healthcare, promoting a more market-based approach. He would likely criticize the Affordable Care Act, reiterating his administration's attempts to dismantle it, though he may have to defend his lack of a clear replacement plan during his time in office. Trump would argue that his administration's policies, such as lowering drug prices and increasing competition in the healthcare market, were steps toward fixing a broken system. Foreign policy would also be a major topic, with Harris highlighting the Biden administration's efforts to restore America's position on the global stage. She would talk about rejoining international agreements like the Paris Climate Accord and revitalizing relationships with NATO allies, framing the administration as one that believes in diplomacy and multilateralism. Harris would likely criticize Trump's approach to foreign relations, particularly his coziness with authoritarian leaders and his America First policy, which she might argue alienated the U.S. from key allies. Trump, as he often has in the past, would push back by emphasizing his administration's tough stance on China, his brokering of peace agreements in the Middle East, and his negotiations with North Korea. He would claim that his willingness to take unconventional approaches, such as meeting with Kim Jong-un or pulling out of international agreements like the Iran nuclear deal, were examples of bold leadership. Trump would likely paint the Biden administration's foreign policy as weak and ineffective, particularly in dealing with adversaries like Russia and China. One of the more personal and potentially explosive moments of the debate would likely come when discussing leadership styles and character. Harris would bring up the January 6th Capitol insurrection and Trump's role in inciting the violence that took place that day. She would argue that Trump's rhetoric and refusal to accept the results of the 2020 election posed a direct threat to democracy. Harris would frame herself as someone who values integrity, rule of law, and the importance of protecting democratic institutions. Trump, meanwhile, would likely continue to claim that the 2020 election was rigged or stolen, despite no evidence supporting those claims. He would pivot to discussing what he sees as the broader need for election security, focusing on his base's concerns about voter fraud. Trump would also use this moment to paint Harris and the Democrats as the ones undermining democracy, possibly bringing up issues like mail-in voting or the push to federalize election laws, which he might claim are efforts to give the Democrats an unfair advantage. Throughout the debate, there would be moments where both Harris and Trump try to appeal directly to their core supporters while attempting to sway undecided voters. Harris would present herself as a calm, collected leader who understands the challenges facing everyday Americans, using her experience as a prosecutor to dissect Trump's arguments and hold him accountable for his record. She would rely on facts, data, and policy specifics to make her case, particularly when discussing complex issues like healthcare, climate change, and criminal justice reform. Trump, on the other hand, would focus on his ability to connect with voters on an emotional level. He would likely use populist rhetoric, portraying himself as a fighter for the forgotten Americans and railing against what he sees as a corrupt political establishment. Trump's ability to create memorable moments, often through sharp jabs and unconventional tactics, would be on full display as he works to undermine Harris's points with his typical bravado. Vice President Kamala Harris is facing serious allegations that have raised eyebrows across the nation. Reports are emerging that her workplace environment has been described as one of complete fear, with staff members coming forward to reveal troubling details. These accusations, if true, could have significant implications not just for Harris, but for the broader political landscape as well. What exactly is being alleged, and what could this mean for the vice president's future? Let's dive into the unfolding situation.
Back in 2022, one Harris aide said this about working for Kamala, quote, "It's always been a problem. You have to have your people around you." And a 2019 op-ed about then-Senator Harris revealing, quote, "Senator Harris vocally throws F-bombs and other profanity constantly in her berating of staff and others. The staff is in complete fear of her, and she uses her profanity throughout the day." Even MSNBC host and former Harris staffer Simone Sanders hinted at struggling to work for the vice president.
Recent reports have thrust Vice President Kamala Harris into the spotlight, not for her political achievements, but for allegations concerning the work environment she oversees. Described by some insiders as an atmosphere of complete fear, these claims have triggered widespread concern and debate. The allegations suggest a workplace rife with tension, mismanagement, and a culture where employees feel unable to speak out without fear of retribution. The accusations primarily stem from anonymous sources, both current and former staff members, who have described a chaotic and stressful environment. According to these accounts, the vice president's office is marked by abrupt decision-making, unclear communication, and a management style that leaves staff feeling overworked, undervalued, and perpetually on edge. This has allegedly led to high turnover rates and a pervasive sense of unease among those working closest to Harris. Kamala Harris has long been recognized as a formidable leader with a reputation for being tough and demanding. Her rise through the political ranks, from District Attorney of San Francisco to Attorney General of California, and later as a U.S. Senator, has been marked by her assertive and detail-oriented approach. While this has won her praise for her effectiveness, it has also sparked criticism from those who have worked under her, describing her management style as overly harsh and exacting. The current allegations echo past concerns raised during Harris's tenure as a senator and a presidential candidate. During her campaign for the Democratic nomination, similar reports emerged about the challenging work environment, leading to several staff resignations. These earlier instances of discontent have now resurfaced, raising questions about whether these issues are part of a broader pattern in her leadership style. Among the most significant accusations are those related to poor communication within the vice president's office. Staff members reportedly feel left in the dark, with key decisions being made without their input or even their awareness.
It was new for me when I worked for her because I had never worked for a high-profile woman before. I had only ever worked for men. And there was one day at work where I was like, "Ma'am, you might be the last woman I work for, because this is a
there's a story there.
It's a lot. This a lot that we got to deal with over in here." It was something though that I think any candidate, any person in power needs to be aware of what the criticism is.
This lack of transparency is said to contribute to a sense of instability and uncertainty, as staffers struggle to keep up with the demands of their roles without clear guidance or support from senior leaders. Moreover, the pressure within Harris's office is reportedly immense, with high expectations and an intense workload that many find overwhelming. Staff members have described working long hours under constant stress, with little recognition or appreciation for their efforts. This high-pressure environment is said to foster a culture of fear, where employees are hesitant to speak out or raise concerns, fearing that doing so could jeopardize their careers. Another troubling aspect of the allegations involves the treatment of junior staff. Reports suggest that younger or less experienced employees feel particularly vulnerable in the vice president's office, where they are often subject to harsh criticism and unrealistic expectations. Some have described feeling intimidated and belittled by senior staff members, contributing to a toxic atmosphere that stifles collaboration and innovation.
Smart words. Simone was a huge part of the staff, Emily, and I remember when Simone left, this tweet went viral of this guy named David Gens, because a lot of people were leaving the office. Let's pull it up. This was him sitting at a desk outside of the office. My name is David Gens. I work for Vice President Harris on behalf of the American people. And people said, blink twice if you need help, David.
These allegations have not only raised questions about Harris's leadership, but have also sparked broader discussions about workplace culture in politics. The political arena is notoriously demanding, with high stakes and intense pressure. But the accusations against Harris's office suggest that the environment may be crossing the line into something more damaging. If the reports are accurate, they indicate a workplace where fear and anxiety dominate, undermining both morale and productivity. In response to the allegations, Harris's team has largely downplayed the reports, with senior aides defending the vice president's leadership and dismissing the claims as exaggerated or unfounded. They argue that the office is simply a high-pressure environment due to the nature of the work, and that the vice president demands excellence, which can be challenging for some staff members. However, this response has done little to quell the concerns of those who have come forward, and the issue continues to attract attention both within Washington and beyond. The impact of these allegations could be far-reaching, potentially affecting Harris's future political ambitions. As the first woman, the first black woman, and the first person of South Asian descent to hold the office of vice president, Harris's career has been groundbreaking in many ways. However, the scrutiny of her management style and the environment within her office could cast a shadow over her accomplishments, particularly if the allegations continue to gain traction.
I'll just leave it there for your own extrapolation. These types of reports of her office culture have plagued her throughout California as well. This is nothing new, as you said, not now and not then. And I just point to when President Biden first took office, and he said, if someone doesn't operate with respect, I will fire them immediately. It seems like he should have looked inward. We've reported as well often and repeatedly about issues that she has had with how she's portrayed, the indignance she has about how she was, the shoes she wore on the Vogue cover, who invited her to meetings in foreign nations. Like, the list goes on about what offends her and sort of the draconian way, the draconian hand that she leads with. But I think at the end of the day, even if you say, well, I don't know what the facts are a 90+% turnover rate, and that's all you need to know.
As these allegations continue to make waves, they have sparked a broader conversation about the expectations placed on political leaders and the often harsh realities of working within high-stakes environments. The nature of political work, particularly in an office as central as that of the vice president, is undeniably intense. Staffers are required to navigate tight deadlines, significant pressure, and the constant need to perform at the highest level. However, the line between a demanding workplace and a toxic one is crucial and increasingly under scrutiny. Political offices are known for their fast-paced, high-pressure environments where the stakes are immense and the margin for error is slim. However, the accounts emerging from Harris's office suggest that this pressure may have crossed into something more damaging, potentially affecting not only staff morale, but also the effectiveness of the office itself. A toxic work environment can lead to decreased productivity, high turnover, and a loss of institutional knowledge, all of which can hinder the vice president's ability to fulfill her duties effectively. One of the key aspects of the allegations revolves around the issue of leadership and management style. Effective leadership is critical in any organization. but it is especially vital in political offices where decisions can have far-reaching consequences. Leaders who fail to foster a supportive and inclusive environment risk alienating their teams and undermining their own goals. The reports from Harris's office suggest that her leadership style may be contributing to the negative atmosphere, with some staffers feeling that their voices are not heard and that their contributions are not valued. This situation also raises important questions about the role of senior aides and other high-level staff in shaping workplace culture. In many cases, the tone and atmosphere of an office are set not only by the principal leader, but also by their closest advisors. If senior aides are contributing to or exacerbating the toxic environment, this reflects poorly on the overall management of the office. It also underscores the need for leaders to be aware of and address any negative behaviors or dynamics within their teams. The allegations against Harris also bring to the forefront the importance of diversity and inclusion in leadership.
Leaks.
Leaks. Also, it's so funny. We started the show off with this wise Kamala Harris, who all of a sudden, just in the last 48 hours, has changed her mind on a myriad of subjects. But honestly, if you can't be able to be candid with the President of the United States as a staffer, then that would mean a lot of things would go wrong, would just get worse. That's my concern as a voter, as an American citizen, the ability of whoever's in the Oval Office to recognize from time to time we don't get it right.
Yeah.
And who would have the heart, the nerve, the guts to be able to say, Madam President, this is wrong?
As a trailblazer in her own right, Harris has often championed the need for greater representation of women and people of color in positions of power. However, these allegations, if proven true, could undermine that message, suggesting that diversity in leadership must also be accompanied by a commitment to fostering a healthy and supportive work environment for all employees. Additionally, the timing of these allegations is significant, coming at a moment when workplace culture is under intense scrutiny across various sectors. The Me Too movement and other efforts to expose and address workplace misconduct have led to a broader societal reckoning with how employees are treated, particularly in high-pressure environments like politics. These movements have empowered individuals to speak out against toxic behaviors and demand accountability from those in power. In this context, the allegations against Harris could be seen as part of a larger trend of holding leaders accountable for the environments they create. As more employees across industries feel empowered to share their experiences, it is likely that similar stories will continue to emerge, leading to increased pressure on leaders to ensure that their workplaces are healthy, inclusive, and respectful. The potential political ramifications of these allegations cannot be overlooked.
Well, what I find so interesting about this whole thing is that a toxic workplace is the HR department's worst nightmare. And that you end up with lawsuits and things get leaked and it goes public and everything. Think of Ellen DeGeneres, another California lady who got outed. And this was after years of her having this successful talk show and everybody loved her. Oh, she's so funny. Oh, she's so sweet. But once one person came out and started talking about the toxic workplace at Ellen DeGeneres' show, everybody started coming out, including people that had been on her show. So I just wonder if it's a matter of time before we get more detail.
Harris's position as vice president makes her a key figure in the Biden administration, and any controversy surrounding her could have implications for the administration's broader agenda. If the allegations continue to gain traction, they could become a distraction, drawing attention away from the administration's policy initiatives and creating challenges for its messaging and public relations efforts. Moreover, these allegations could have long-term consequences for Harris's political future.
It is known in California and it's known in Washington. It is a heroic work environment if you work for her. Nobody lasts very long. Even as VP, when she didn't do anything, she could not keep staff. That is a person that the press will never talk about. How she treats people around her is a real indication of what she'll do in the future.
As someone who is often mentioned as a potential future presidential candidate, Harris's leadership and management style will be closely scrutinized by both supporters and opponents. The way she handles this situation could either bolster her reputation as a strong and effective leader or raise doubts about her ability to manage a complex and demanding office. In the ever-evolving landscape of American politics, few figures have left as indelible a mark as Barack Obama and Kamala Harris. Both trailblazers in their own right, they have shattered glass ceilings, redefined leadership, and inspired millions across the globe. From Obama's historic journey as the first African-American president to Harris's groundbreaking role as the first female, first black, and first South Asian vice president, their stories are woven with resilience, vision, and an unwavering commitment to change. Today, we explore the legacies of these two remarkable leaders, examining how their paths intersect and what their impact means for the future of America.
Here's a 78-year-old billionaire who has not stopped whining about his problems since he rode down his golden escalator 9 years ago. It has been a constant stream of gripes and grievances that's actually been getting worse now that he's afraid of losing to Kamala. There's the childish nicknames, the crazy conspiracy theories.
Barack Obama's ascent to the presidency was nothing short of transformative. Born to a Kenyan father and an American mother, his multicultural upbringing in Hawaii and Indonesia shaped his worldview. After graduating from Columbia University and Harvard Law School, where he became the first black president of the Harvard Law Review, Obama began his career in public service as a community organizer in Chicago. His commitment to social justice and equality was evident early on, as he worked to address issues like housing discrimination and economic inequality in underserved communities. Obama's political career took off when he was elected to the Illinois State Senate in 1996, where he advocated for ethics reform and expanded healthcare services for children and families. But it was his keynote address at the 2004 Democratic National Convention that catapulted him onto the national stage, with a message of hope and unity that resonated with Americans across the political spectrum. 4 years later, he made history as the 44th President of the United States, winning the hearts of millions with his message of, "Yes, we can." During his 2 terms, Obama tackled a range of critical issues, from passing the Affordable Care Act to leading the nation out of the Great Recession. His administration also made significant strides in addressing climate change, advancing LGBTQ+ rights, and restoring diplomatic relations with Cuba. Obama's presidency wasn't without challenges. He faced intense opposition from a divided Congress and had to navigate complex international crises. Yet through it all, he remained a symbol of hope and progress, leaving behind a legacy that continues to inspire future generations.
Who will fight for me? Who's thinking about my future, about my children's future, about our future together? One thing is for certain, Donald Trump is not losing sleep over that question. Here's a 78-year-old billionaire who has not stopped whining about his problems since he rode down his golden escalator. It has been a constant stream of gripes and grievances that's actually been getting worse now that he's afraid of losing to Kamala.
Kamala Harris's journey to the vice presidency is equally groundbreaking. Born to immigrant parents, an Indian mother, and a Jamaican father, Harris was raised with a deep sense of justice and civic responsibility. Her mother, a prominent cancer researcher, instilled in her the belief that she could be anything she wanted to be, and Harris took that message to heart. After earning degrees from Howard University and the University of California, Hastings College of the Law, Harris began her career as a prosecutor, determined to make a difference in the criminal justice system. Harris quickly rose through the ranks, becoming the District Attorney of San Francisco in 2004. There, she introduced innovative programs like Back on Track, aimed at reducing recidivism and providing first-time offenders with a second chance. Her tough-on-crime approach, coupled with her commitment to fairness and reform, earned her a reputation as a rising star in California politics. In 2010, she was elected as the first female and first Black Attorney General of California, where she tackled issues such as marriage equality, consumer protection, and criminal justice reform on a larger scale. In 2016, Harris made history again by becoming the second Black woman ever elected to the U.S. Senate. During her time in the Senate, she was known for her sharp questioning during hearings and her advocacy for civil rights, immigration reform, and health care. But it was her election as the 49th Vice President of the United States in 2020 that marked the pinnacle of her career. As the first woman, first Black, and first South Asian to hold this office, Harris's victory represented a significant step forward in the fight for equality and inclusion.
I can't have this phone call without saying to my girl Kamala, I am proud of you. This is going to be historic.
We called to say Michelle and I couldn't be prouder to endorse you and to do everything we can to get you through this election and into the Oval Office.
Oh my goodness. Michelle, Brock, this means so much to me. I am looking forward to doing this with the two of you, Doug and I both, and getting out there, being on the road. But most of all, I just want to tell you the words you have spoken and the friendship that you have given over all these years mean more than I can express. So thank you both. It means so much. And we're going to have some fun with this too, aren't we?
Barack Obama and Kamala Harris share more than just a history of firsts. They embody the ideals of perseverance, justice, and the power of representation. Both have faced their share of challenges and criticisms, yet they have remained steadfast in their commitment to the American people. Obama's endorsement of Harris as Joe Biden's running mate in 2020 was a powerful moment, symbolizing the passing of the torch to a new generation of leaders who are ready to continue the work he started. Their journeys highlight the importance of diversity in leadership and the impact that trailblazers can have on society. Obama's presidency paved the way for leaders like Harris, showing that the highest offices in the land are not beyond the reach of those who dare to dream. In a shocking turn of events, King Charles III has stepped down from his role as the monarch of the British royal family. This unprecedented move has sent shockwaves through the United Kingdom and around the world. Camilla, Queen Consort, has reportedly been deeply affected by this development, with sources close to the palace describing her as being in tears. This decision marks a significant moment in British history, altering the future of the monarchy in ways that were previously unimaginable. The announcement came after a series of private meetings within the royal family, leading to the king's official abdication. The news of King Charles III stepping down as the monarch of the British royal family has reverberated across the globe, marking a historic moment in the centuries-old institution. This decision, which has taken many by surprise, was made following a series of private discussions within the royal family. The gravity of the situation is evident, as sources close to Buckingham Palace have revealed that Queen Consort Camilla has been deeply moved by the decision, with reports indicating that she has been brought to tears by the turn of events. King Charles' decision to abdicate has not only shaken the foundations of the monarchy, but has also left the public and royal watchers in a state of disbelief. After years of waiting in the wings, as the heir apparent, Charles ascended to the throne, following the passing of Queen Elizabeth II. His reign, though short, has been marked by attempts to modernize the monarchy and address the changing dynamics of British society. However, his decision to step down comes as a significant departure from royal tradition, where abdications are rare and often carry considerable implications. In the days leading up to the announcement, there were whispers of tension and uncertainty within the royal household. Insiders have suggested that Charles faced mounting pressure, both from within the family and from external forces, to reconsider his role. The king's health, public opinion, and the future of the monarchy were reportedly central to these discussions. Despite the challenges, many believed that Charles would continue to fulfill his duties as monarch. However, the final decision to abdicate indicates the weight of the considerations he had to bear. Camilla, who has stood by Charles's side for decades, is said to have been particularly affected by the decision. As Queen Consort, she has faced her own share of public scrutiny and challenges. The prospect of Charles stepping down from the throne has added a personal dimension to the situation, amplifying the emotional toll it has taken on her. Those close to the couple have described Camilla as being visibly distressed, struggling to come to terms with the new reality of their lives. Her tears are a testament to the profound impact this decision has had on those within the royal circle. The implications of King Charles's abdication are vast and complex. For the royal family, it means a sudden shift in the line of succession, with Prince William now poised to take on the role of king sooner than anticipated. This change is likely to have far-reaching consequences for the monarchy, as William's vision for the future may differ significantly from that of his father. The British public, too, is grappling with the news, as they come to terms with the idea of another transition in leadership so soon after the passing of Queen Elizabeth. Internationally, the decision has prompted reactions from world leaders and royal families across the globe. The British monarchy has long been a symbol of continuity and stability, and the abdication of a sitting monarch is a rare and significant event. Allies and observers alike are now closely watching the developments in the UK, seeking to understand the motivations behind Charles's decision and what it means for the future of one of the world's most well-known institutions. In the wake of the announcement, the media has been abuzz with speculation and analysis. Commentators are dissecting the potential reasons behind the king's abdication, from personal health concerns to the desire to pave the way for a younger generation of leadership. The role of public opinion cannot be ignored, as Charles's popularity has fluctuated over the years. Some have suggested that the king may have felt that stepping aside was in the best interest of the monarchy, allowing Prince William and his wife, Catherine, to take on more prominent roles. The abdication of King Charles III has thrown the royal family and the nation into a state of reflection and uncertainty. This decision, rooted in a complex mix of personal, familial, and public considerations, is unprecedented in the modern era. While the monarchy has weathered many storms, this particular event signifies a turning point that may redefine the future of the British royal institution. In the weeks leading up to the abdication, there were subtle signs that all was not well within the royal household. Close observers noted a shift in Charles's public demeanor. His appearances, once marked by a sense of duty and tradition, had become more subdued. Behind the palace walls, the weight of the crown seemed to be taking a toll on him. Although no official statements were made at the time, there were whispers of the king grappling with the demands of his role, compounded by concerns over his health and the increasingly complex political landscape in the UK. Reports have surfaced indicating that King Charles sought counsel from his closest advisors, including senior members of the royal family and trusted confidants. The discussions were said to be intense and fraught with emotion, as Charles weighed the responsibilities of his position against the realities of his personal circumstances. It is believed that he considered all possible outcomes, including the impact his decision would have on the monarchy, his family, and the nation. Ultimately, it seems that the king reached the conclusion that stepping down was the most responsible and dignified course of action. For Queen Consort Camilla, this period has been particularly challenging. Known for her resilience and quiet strength, she has always supported Charles through the ups and downs of public life. However, the prospect of him relinquishing the throne has reportedly shaken her deeply. Camilla's emotional response highlights the personal sacrifice and the human aspect of what is often seen as a purely institutional matter. The tears she has shed reflect not just her concern for Charles, but also the enormous changes they now face as a couple, transitioning from the roles they have both prepared for over many years. The royal family, now faced with the task of navigating this transition, is likely to undergo a period of internal realignment. Prince William, who has been steadily preparing for his future role as king, will now have to accelerate his readiness to assume the throne. William's ascension is expected to bring a new energy and direction to the monarchy, one that aligns with the expectations of a modern, diverse Britain. However, this transition will not be without its challenges. William will need to strike a delicate balance between honoring the traditions of the monarchy and embracing the progressive changes that many believe are necessary for its survival in the 21st century. As the nation processes this seismic shift, reactions have been mixed. There is a sense of sadness and nostalgia among those who have supported King Charles throughout his life, recognizing his dedication to his duties and his efforts to address contemporary issues such as climate change and social inequality. Yet, there is also a sense of cautious optimism as people look to the future with Prince William at the helm.